Hello, my name is Casey, and this is Real Life, Real Joy. And today I wanted to talk to you about groceries and how we keep our grocery budget down. This is a video that I'm doing for my friend Allie, who asked me questions. So this is for you, Allie. So first of all, I guess I should tell you a little bit about our family, right? So my family is 2 adults, and then we have 6 children. 1 is a baby, so I do not count him. We have an 11-year-old boy, a 9-year-old girl, and then a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 6-month-old baby. Boys, all boys. So we have 5 boys and 1 girl. So our boys can eat a lot. The 2-year-old, even though he's only 2, he can still eat 4 eggs. The 4-year-old ate 5 tacos the other night. So we go through a lot of food already, even though they're very little. Our food philosophy is to eat as healthy as we can. We try to cook a lot of vegetables. I try to get my kids to eat those. And we have a lot of fruit, but I don't buy organic unless I happen to notice a wonderful deal that would be the same price as the regular stuff. But for the most part, we do not eat organic. It's just not a priority to us. Now, I also try to follow Trim Healthy Mama, which is a low glycemic diet. So I do splurge on things like Truvia and a few other baking ingredients occasionally. But the rest of my family just has a standard diet. We try to eat a lot of healthy food, and we try to do a lot of things from scratch as much as we can. It cuts out the preservatives, and it's usually cheaper. So our grocery budget, so we are a family of 8, but I'm only really counting 7 because Peter, while he does eat a little food, he doesn't eat enough yet, is $650 a month. And we also do eat out, and we have $75 a month that we eat out. So if you break it all down to for 7 people, that is about $3 a day per person, which I think is very good. So just to see where we were at, I looked up the USDA food plans for the US average, and I calculated out our family, and it's broken down by age and what they say, what the USDA says you should spend. And they have 4 different levels of plans that they say this is the average cost for what Americans pay. And on the thrifty plan, our family should be spending $1,012. So we are way under that. Even if you factor in our eating out, that's $725 a month. So we, I think, are doing really great. And also the liberal plan, the highest one, is $2,000 a month for our family, which, wow, that is a lot. Okay, so now again, most of these tips are things that you have heard before, but these are things that our family does. It's not necessarily things that are always the right way or things that you have to do. These are just things that we do to keep our food costs down. And the number 1 way is to not waste food. We very, very rarely ever throw out food. We try our best to eat leftovers. We have leftover night probably a couple times a week. Also, try to use all your produce and use your food before it goes bad. If I notice that something has been in the fridge for a while, like just a few days ago we had a cauliflower that was like, well, we better eat this up or it's going to go bad soon. So I made sure that that was our side dish for our meal, like the very next meal, so that it would get eaten up and we would not waste it. So that is the most important. And another thing, moms with children, especially, do not give your kids so much food that they cannot eat it all and you end up throwing it in the trash. Give them a very small portion to start with. And then if they really love it and they like it and they eat it all, then give them more. Like we tell our kids that they can always go back for seconds, so we try to just give them a small, reasonable portion to start with, especially if we don't know if they're gonna like it. I don't want to put a heaping mound on my kids' plate if they've never had it before and I don't know if they're gonna like it, because I don't want them to throw it all away. So that is a very important tip for our family. And this is just random, but the other day on one of my videos, I happened to be reading in Proverbs chapter 12. And then when I got to the end of the chapter, I noticed a verse. It's Proverbs 12:27. It says, "The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious." So basically, even the Bible says, don't waste food. So this is saying the slothful, the lazy man does not eat that what he took in hunting. So he wasted it, you know, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. So, yeah. So don't waste food. It's even in the Bible. So my number 2 tip is drink mostly water. Now, I have a really hard time with this. The rest of my family does amazing. They drink almost all water. I like coffee a lot, and I like tea, and I like Diet Coke, which is really bad for me and expensive, but I like it. So I do have that a lot. But the rest of my family does really great. And I try. One rule that we do have is that we drink water with meals. So even I, almost always, will drink only water with our meals. We started this when my oldest son was a toddler, and he would chug a whole cup of milk, and then he would not touch any of his food, and it really frustrated me. So ever since then, all the rest of the kids, we just said, nope, once you can drink water and drink out of a cup, you're just getting water for your meals. Sometimes they will get a cup of milk if we're having dessert, like after dinner, or obviously if they're having cereal, then they get milk then. Or every once in a while as a snack, they'll just ask for milk, or maybe we'll make chocolate milk. Number 3 is buy almost all generic. Really, we can barely tell a difference in just about everything that we buy, especially if it's something really simple like canned tomatoes or chili beans or anything like that. You're not going to be able to tell the difference. There are a few things maybe, like some people might like salsas. Salsas are really different, so maybe you have a favorite salsa, but for the most part, everything can be generic. Even crackers, even chips sometimes, they're not as good as the Lay's potato chips, I'll give you that. But for the most part, my kids could care less if they're just excited they're getting chips. All right. Number 4 is buy produce that is on sale or in season. A wonderful example of this is today I went to a brand new grocery store in our area, and they're selling a pound of strawberries for 88 cents for a package. That is an amazing price, so we got lots of strawberries, and we will be eating a lot of strawberries this week. And in the summer especially, fruit and produce is wonderful. Now, in the middle of winter, when strawberries are $4 a pound, we do not eat strawberries. We buy whatever is in season. In the winter, it's usually apples and bananas. Next is search for the things that are on sale. You can do the flyers, you can just look when you're in the grocery store. I usually try to grab up the flyer for the grocery store as I walk in the door, just to see if I missed anything, see if there's anything that's really great on the front page. And that's another thing. Sometimes you can look online at the store flyers before you ever go. And maybe you'll find a different store that what your regular store is, that's having an amazing meat sale. So you could just go to that store and get the meat and whatever's on sale that you want, and then go to your regular grocery store and get whatever's on sale there. Now for us, we handle grocery shopping a little bit differently. I do not go once a week. I don't even go all the time. My husband goes at least half the time. So we pretty much shop based on the sales. So whatever store has the most amazing prices for that week is usually where we're gonna go. And for us, we usually go to Aldi's. My husband will stop at Aldi's on the way home from work, so I can just take a picture of my shopping list and text it to him, and then he will pick up stuff on the way home from work, which also helps me because I am the impulse buyer and he is not. And then other times if we have a big long list, or I just really want to break from the kids and I just want to go shopping somewhere, I will take a big list and I will go to a store we have called Woodman's, which has a little bit more healthy selections and a little bit more selections than what Aldi's does. So I really like to go there. And the prices are pretty comparable with Walmart. The next tip I have is cook from scratch. All of the pre-packaged stuff is really expensive and it's really unhealthy for you with all the preservatives and chemicals and extra salt and all that stuff. So things like hamburger helper. Go online, go on Pinterest, and look up recipes for homemade hamburger helper. I have found an amazing one, a couple of them. If I can find them when I'm editing this video, I will link them. If not, just go to Pinterest or go to Google and look up hamburger helper recipes. Homemade macaroni and cheese is another one. It took me several tries to get a decent homemade macaroni and cheese, and I actually used my friend Sarah's recipe. Actually, it's not even a recipe. It's kind of a wing it recipe. I just throw in cottage cheese and butter and maybe a bag of shredded cheese, although if you have a block, it's much better to use a block of like shredded cheddar cheese or Colby Jack or really whatever I have. And I just mix it in there. I throw some garlic powder, some pepper. I just kind of make a sauce, and then I just pour it into my noodles. If it's the middle of the day and I need lunch quick, I just mix the cheese with the noodles and we eat it. If it's more like a dinner dish, then I sometimes will throw in some canned chicken and broccoli and I'll bake it in the oven. I don't know, for 10-15 minutes until it's hot and bubbly, like the way casserole should be. Right, another one is look and see if your grocery store has a reduced price case or area. The other day at Woodman's, I found some baby food that was in the reduced sale. It was 25 cents a jar for organic jar baby food. I think it was lentils and apples and rice or something like that. So it's gonna work great while we are camping. I also found a couple of 000 yogurts for 50 cents, some other Greek yogurts for 35 cents a piece. A lot of times we have found like heavy whipping cream, or we found some dairy-free yogurts for my daughter in the reduced price dairy area. You know, some stores have a good reduced price meat area, so you can check that out. I also found organic flour in a reduced price area that was 50 cents. It was just plain white, it was even unbleached, organic flour for 50 cents for a 5-pound bag. One of the biggest ways that we save money for our family is through hunting and fishing. My husband's family are very big hunters and fishermen, and so my husband and now my son have started, they go hunting every year, and we will go through a couple of deer, and sometimes my father-in-law will give us some deer that they have. So we are very fortunate and very blessed that we do not have to purchase meat very often. We do buy chicken and we buy pork occasionally, but we very, very rarely buy beef. Fishing also, we do not buy fish. We get fish from fishing trips. And that leads me to my second tip is canning, if you can. So we purchased an All-American canner, which was a little bit pricey, but it was our Christmas present one year, and we use it to can not only vegetables, but we also can fish, and we can chicken breast, and we can venison. So we do venison in chunks for things like stew and stroganoff, and we also do already cooked ground venison to use in like spaghettis and tacos. It's wonderful. It's wonderful mostly because it's quick and easy to make a meal. I can just dump the jar in the pan, throw some taco seasoning in, and the taco meat is done. So there's another quick tip I'll just throw out there. If you're making tacos and you want your meat to stretch farther, put the beans directly in with the tacos. I usually use black beans, and you can just throw them right in with the taco meat, and then your meat will stretch farther, and kids can't be like, ew, that's gross, I don't want it, I don't want the beans, because my kids would take the meat and then not take the beans, but if it's all mixed together, they just take it all, and they're fine with eating it all. So if you can, it is a wonderful way to preserve it. We also do chicken broth. I guess I should have put gardening ahead of canning, because we do also garden. We actually have a raised bed garden in our front yard, so you can do that. You can have a garden in your backyard, and we have also done a garden in pots in our driveway when we rented and we didn't have, we couldn't like till up an area for a garden. So even if you can just plant one tomato plant, you know, then especially those little cherry tomatoes, you get those all summer long, and they're really good. They're way better than anything you could buy in the store. This video I am focusing on kind of tips that you can do to keep it down. I'm not focusing so much on meals. I'm gonna do another video giving you more meals that we do that are very budget-friendly meals. So I think I'll go through like breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and that kind of thing. Oh, and there's another tip. When it comes to snacking, like I try hard not to let my kids just snack all day long. I try, we have breakfast in the morning when they get up, we have lunch at 11 o'clock, and then usually about sometime between 1 and 2, when I put the boys down for their naps, I will let them have a snack. And because we homeschool and we need to get to school, I usually do something as simple as I can. It's like peanut butter crackers or maybe cheese and crackers. Sometimes it's just plain old graham crackers or a handful of pretzels, a handful of dried cereal, or a little bowl full of dried cereal. Something simple, so that's their only snack. Sometimes they can have fruit, but usually we have a lot of fruit with lunch. But sometimes they'll have more fruit. And then we have dinner, I don't know, sometime between 5 and 6 usually. So normally that's it. They don't get any other snacks. Occasionally we'll make a dessert in the evening, and they might have that. But for the most part, it's just 3 meals and 1 snack a day. When it comes to snacks, we also choose not to buy the individually packaged things like chips and even applesauce or goldfish crackers or anything that's like individually packaged. We don't even buy individually packaged yogurts because they're just, you know, that stuff is just much more expensive. And the blessing of homeschooling is that my kids don't have to take a lunch anywhere, so we can get the big containers of yogurt and just spoon it into a bowl, and then they can have that. And it's much more cost effective. My next tip is talk to people and ask around about fruit trees or people that have a big garden. Maybe you can't, but maybe other people do have a big garden, and that once green beans are in season and people start picking and canning, a lot of times people that have green bean plants, they get so many green beans, they just want to get rid of them. You know, so anybody that you know that has a large garden, ask them if you have extra. You know, if you ever have extra that you don't want, you know, I would love to take some. Or maybe you could even ask if you could pull weeds for them for a small share of the produce. Also ask about fruit trees. If you know anybody that has fruit trees, you know, especially if they have like big, nice, mature ones, they might have so much fruit that they can't even pick it all or eat it all, or they just don't want the mess. So maybe you can offer to help pick it for them, or offer to help clean up the mess and pick up the things that are on the ground. We do this with pears especially. We do get pears from my husband's coworker who just doesn't really want all of his pears, so he will share. So that's a free source of fruit. Another source of food that people often overlook is gas stations. Around where we live, we actually have a local gas station that always sells bananas for 38 cents a pound. So if there are no other sales on bananas, then we always get them there. So bananas, milk, sometimes eggs can be 99 cents for a thing of eggs. So even look at your local gas stations. Maybe one of them around you has something very similar. Okay, well, I think that's about everything that I had intended to say. I probably rambled and said more than I intended, so forgive me for rambling. I will try to have another video out, I don't know when, but I will do more specific about the actual foods and actual budget-friendly meals that we like to make. I would love to hear in the comments how you keep your grocery budget low. Well, I think that's all for tonight, so have a very joy-filled day, and please like, subscribe, and comment with your tips.